Well, let's take a look at what is happening in the markets, and we start off with the local bourse that seems to have sunk back into the red today after a greener session yesterday. Of course, one of the reasons there being the lower Chinese stocks handover that we got earlier on, of course, as we saw data out of China illustrating the weak manufacturing activity that does still exist in China. Of course, just slightly down with the JC reversing some of those losses that we had seen earlier on, now declining almost 0.1%, with the industrial 25 carrying the bulk of those losses. They're shedding almost 0.6%. Resources 10 complex slightly down by 0.06%. Backing that overall trend is the financial 15 with a gain of almost 0.2%. Let's take a look at what is happening stateside, and of course there we did get tech earnings coming out of Microsoft and Alphabet last night. Even though both of those counters did come out with earnings beats, we still did see their share prices plummeting, particularly Microsoft. We are seeing a mixed picture over there, with the Dow being the only one in the green with a gain of almost 0.1%, with the tech heavy Nasdaq, of course, as expected, as we did see those tech stocks being under pressure, carrying the bulk of those losses, declining almost 1.5%, and the S&P 500 they're losing more than 0.7%. Let's take a look at what is happening across the Atlantic and those European markets over there. We're seeing a sea of red. Also, investors there digesting quite a few earnings. We did see H&M's stock plummeting by about 10% after it reported a miss on operating profit, but also announcing the exit of its CEO and a new CEO coming in. We also did see pharmaceutical company Novo Nordisk, actually its shares coming out on the other side of the spectrum, gaining as we saw their earnings. They're being boosted by diabetes drug Ozempic, and also the weight loss drug Wegovy. FTSE 100 there declining almost 0.1%, the CAC 40 losing more than 0.1%, and the DAX declining by more than 0.4%. Let's take a look at what is happening on the currency scene and start off with how the Rand is doing against some of the major currencies. We are seeing quite some strength coming through to the Rand, about 1% against the US dollar, now standing at 18 Rand 60, against the pound at 23 Rand 70, and against the euro at 20 Rand 22. Let's take a look at how the other currency pairs are doing, starting off with the euro dollar, standing at 1.08, pound dollar at 1.27, and the yen just below 147 against the US dollar.